what are some jobs you can take to move overseas? Number one is going to be teaching English. You can do this almost anywhere and you don't even have to know any other languages. Number two is becoming an au pair. Essentially, you're going to be a nanny for someone, and the best part is you get a free place to stay. Number three is becoming a tour guide. Usually you can give tours in the cities that you live in, or you can actually travel around and give tours and become a tour leader as well. If you love writing, travel writers are always needed. Places like CTR Berlin will actually pay you to come live in Berlin and travel around and write for them. If you have freelance skills such as graphic design, SEO, social media, or marketing, you can find jobs on places like FlexJobs, Upwork, or Fiverr. Lastly is a working holiday visa. This program is awesome. You can live anywhere from 6 months to 2 years in places like Australia and Ireland, and you can do jobs like waitressing, bartending, or a front desk at a hotel.
If you want to travel and live abroad, check out this list. This is a list of 100 companies that are remote first companies that you can apply for that are hiring today. I'll put the link in the comment.
Tips for moving abroad, part 3. Join expat forums. Typically all bigger cities around the world have an expat group on Facebook, which is really awesome. You join the group, you can see people asking questions. You can even ask questions before you go. How do I find an apartment? What's a good area to live in? And then once you're already there, you're still a part of this group, so people will post, trivia nights, activities, different things going on around town. It helps you make friends, and it also just, gives you that peace of mind. There are other people out here doing the exact same thing that I am. Anytime you have a question or you're craving a certain food or you can't find a certain item at a store, you can always just pop on there, write a question, and a bunch of people will respond. And it's just a really nice community of supporting one another.
3 ways which can help you stay in Thailand for long term. First one, getting a job in Thailand. Getting a job in Thailand is so easy, especially being a teacher. You just have a degree and then you can apply through the school or apply through the agency. There are so many agencies in Thailand that help you to get the job as a teacher. And the visa we call non-B visa. Second, education visa, as you learning Thai in Thailand. This is also one of the most visa that many foreigners get because they can stay here long term, at least 1 year at a time, that you can get visa as learning Thai. Third, Elite visa. Elite visa will allow you to stay in Thailand 5 years, but you need to pay a lot of money to get this visa. You can use agency to help you. That's the easiest way about doing visa in Thailand. If I would suggest you about the visa, I would suggest you to go through the agency to help you, because in Thailand it has so many rules. Some country it had even harder stuff to get through Thai visa, so it's better for you to go through agency. Try to choose the good agency which is a lot of people using it, especially on online stuff. Try to look up through the Facebook page, which is the most like advice or review, because some agency might not be good. So let me know if you plan to stay in Thailand for long term. If you do, any visa that you use, or you plan to be a teacher in here, or do you plan to do anything in here, let me know.
If you are an American who has been Googling how to move to the UK over the past couple of days, this is for you. I have lived in the UK since September 2017, specifically in Edinburgh, and there is not a day that goes by that I do not see somebody posting on one of the expat forums that I'm in about how can I move to the UK. And over the last 3 days since the Roe v. Wade decision, those questions have increased tenfold. This is definitely going to have to be a multi-part series. There's no way I could fit this all into 3 minutes, but I will do my best. So this is just going to be general information, and then I'll get a little bit more specific in the following posts. The first thing that you need to know is that it is not easy to move to the UK. It is not affordable. It is not quick. It is generally just a very difficult process. The UK is one of the hardest and most expensive places to immigrate to. They don't want you here. You really have to prove and fight to be here and to stay here. I should have my citizenships at some point next year, and by that point I'll have spent at least £10,000 on all things visas and immigrant related. Maybe more, actually, because every year the prices go up. But the main things to know about if you want to come to the UK, you have to have a viable visa pathway. Basically, that means there needs to be a visa that is applicable to you that will allow you to enter this country. The most popular ones, or the most widely accessible ones, are a student visa, which is available if you already have a bachelor's degree of some sort and you want to come for a graduate school. There is a spousal visa, which is how I came here, and also the fiancé visa. Those go hand in hand. The fiancé visa is essentially 90-day fiancé, and the spousal visa, which is what I have, just skipped the fiancé part. We got married and I moved over here as a wife and not as a fiancé. There is also a work visa option, but this is incredibly difficult. This is probably the most difficult of the 3 most commonly used visas. Essentially, you have to find a UK company that is seeking out a skill that you have, because you can only hire an American or someone who's foreign to fill a gap. They don't want to take away jobs from British people, so they will only give the job to you if they are struggling to find British people to take those jobs. There is a list, I'll link it. It updates, but it's pretty specific and it's not always guaranteed. Like I said, I'll talk more about the specifics in the following videos, but if you have any particular questions, let me know in the comments and I will do my very, very best to answer them, because I know a lot of people are talking about this and I just want to give everyone a really realistic
Culture Shocks Living Abroad Part 1. I've been living in Europe almost 10 years and I've lived in a variety of countries, but let's start with Switzerland. Switzerland is by far the most beautiful place I've lived in. We lived in the Italian part of Switzerland, so the food was also delicious. Specifically, we lived in Lugano, which is the biggest city in Ticino, which is the Italian-speaking canton. The first thing that was a huge culture shock for me was not having your own washing machine at home. Not dryer, washing machine. Even though if you grew up in New York or if you went to American college, that might be very common for you because you have a communal laundromat, that was not the case for me. I've always had shared an apartment with my friends, that sort of thing. We've always had our own washing machine. Have never had a dryer in Europe, but always had our own home washing machine. So for me, as an adult with a good job in my mid-20s, it was very strange that I wasn't allowed to have a washing machine. And let me just say that you are allowed to buy one depending on where you live and which apartment you live in. But if you do, you have to pay a monthly tax that is quite expensive. In our case, we had about 15 other apartments that we had to share 2 washing machines with. And not only did we have to pay for it, so you had to pay with coins, but also you had to go on your assigned day. Our assigned day, we didn't get to pick it. We were given Sunday, which sounds great because it's the weekend and you can take advantage of it, but we travel a lot, so we'd have to run back from the airport to be able to just get 1 or 2 loads in, which means that you had a pile of clothes waiting for you the entire week to get washed. There are many other culture shocks things specifically for Switzerland, but let me know if this is interesting and if you want another video.